We all know the image. A shadow falls over the bed, fangs bare, and the immortal Count Dracula sinks his teeth into the flesh of an innocent woman to drain her life force. But turn to chapter 10 of the novel, and a different kind of penetration takes place. Dr. Van Helsing and his band of heroes surround their victim, Lucy, and pierce her veins with thick steel needles, forcefully pumping their own bodily fluids into her. They are performing the exact inverse of the monster's work. Instead of taking blood, they are pushing it in. It is a physical, shockingly intimate intrusion into a young woman's body. When Bram Stoker published his novel in 1897, blood transfusions were highly experimental and frequently lethal. Stoker chose this raw, dangerous medical procedure as the primary weapon against a supernatural demon. His masterpiece functions as a mirror, reflecting a society terrified of its own internal impulses. Stoker's narrative suggests that the distance between a medical savior and a nocturnal predator is much shorter than the Victorian heroes want to admit. To understand why, we have to look at the dangerous reality of 1890s medicine. Surgery was a brutal gamble taking place in stark, open theaters. This diagram illustrates what happens when unclassified fluids mix. At the time the novel was written, human blood types were unknown. They wouldn't be discovered until 1900. Doctors were blindly mixing these fluids, often delivering a fatal reaction instead of a cure. To a Victorian, blood was a literal biological vessel for the human soul. It was treated as the physical container for a person's identity and character. Medical records describe physicians transfusing gentle lamb's blood into angry men to calm them. In another case, a patient received the blood of a cat and reportedly began sitting for hours gazing into holes in the floor. Because of this belief, giving blood was viewed as an incredibly intimate exchange. Transferring fluid from a man to a woman meant transferring his identity into her veins, a deeply invasive act of sharing oneself. This spiritual understanding of blood reframes every interaction at Lucy's bedside. As her health fails, 4 different men eagerly volunteer to pump their own vital fluids into her. Arthur, her fiancé, is the first to donate. Afterward, he expresses his deep satisfaction, believing that the donation of his blood has made her his bride in a literal sense. Dr. Van Helsing takes this logic to its limit. Because Lucy eventually receives blood from all 4 men, the doctor jokes that she has become a polyandrist, a woman with multiple husbands. The medical procedure serves as a surrogate for sexual consummation. This illustrates the era's profound fear of the new woman, a feminist ideal of a woman who possessed social and sexual independence. When Dracula bites Lucy, he awakens these aggressive desires within her. The men react with panic. Their transfusions are a patriarchal attempt to physically flush out her newfound independence and replace it with pure male obedience. The medical intervention fails. Lucy dies and transforms into a sexualized, aggressive vampire who hunts children in the night. This leads to the novel's climax in the tomb. The men track her down and destroy her. Stoker notes that this execution happens on what would have been her actual wedding night. The imagery is violent. A group of men surround a woman in her bed, ganging up on her to drive a 3-foot wooden stake into her chest. They are not just killing a monster, they are forcefully shutting down a woman's sexual independence to restore the Victorian order. These men cope with the brutality of their actions through obsessive record-keeping. The entire novel is a collection of diaries and recordings. It is the Victorian man's attempt to prove he is a rational scientist, rather than a man losing his mind to his own impulses. Dracula endures because it captures the moment history's ancient superstitions collided with modern science. The Victorian gentleman ended his hunt, having used the same dominance and suppressed desire as the monster he sought to destroy.